This conference will now be recorded.
Hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's start. As you know, this is our first session on SAP Central Finance. I request all of you to please mute yourself to avoid any background noise. And whenever required, I'll give you sufficient time to ask questions. Still, there is some background noise. Let me just mute all on my side itself. Yeah, I muted everyone as of now. So whenever required, I will definitely give you time to ask your questions and then we can proceed further. So welcome all to this first session on SAP Central Finance. I can see there are many of you who attended my previous batches either through videos or through the live sessions. I think only one or two guys are there who are listening to me for the first time. So before I start, let me just introduce myself. So my name is Vikram and I am working in this industry, in the training industry as well as in SAP consulting industry from more than 13 years. A training point of view, I have around 6 years of experience. I started with the SAP FICO trainings on SAP ECC, then on S4HANA Finance. I took some of the trainings on S4HANA Logistics also on the upgraded or simplified processes. I took the trainings on SAP RAR and even FSCM is going on currently, and this is our first batch on SAP Central Finance. So what exactly we will do is, in order to understand the SAP Central Finance, there are various different tools that we need to understand. So first of all, when it comes to SAP Central Finance, it is not just a functional technology. It is just not a functional thing that any functional consultant can do it independently. Okay, so for example, if I talk about FICO or if I talk about FSCM, so once the technical installation is done, it is very straightforward. You go to your transactions and you do your setup, right? But when we are talking about SAP Central Finance, it is not the configuration activity which you can do in one single system, because Central Finance itself means integrating or interfacing multiple systems. Okay, so we will understand that in detail, what interfaces we are talking about. But just remember, there are many technical things in SAP Central Finance, but what we are going to focus on in this particular training is only from the functional part. Okay, so just wanted to set the expectations, because when it comes to SAP Central Finance, there are a lot of things which are required from technical side, from SLT side, from MDG side. We'll talk about all those things. So those are the separate skill set, but what we are going to focus is, as a finance consultant, as a FICO consultant, what is my responsibility to work on the SAP Central Finance project? Okay, and before we understand the Central Finance, I have made sure that I think most of you already know what is SAP S4HANA, but just few minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes, I will just highlight those things which are new in S4HANA to set up the background for Central Finance, why Central Finance is required. Okay, so the first thing first, what exactly is SAP S4HANA? So the full form of SAP S4HANA, as you can see, is it is SAP Business Suite for SAP HANA. So this 4 stands for. Okay, and why it is called as SAP Business Suite for SAP HANA? Because the underlying database that we are going to use with SAP S4HANA can be only HANA database, right? So SAP S4HANA application is completely dependent on HANA database. Can I use S4HANA with any third-party database like Oracle, like DB2, like SQL, as the way we were doing in ECC? The answer is straightforward, no. SAP S4HANA can only work on SAP HANA database, and that is the reason it is called as the application or the business suite, which is developed on top of HANA database, right? That is the reason it is called as SAP S4HANA. Okay, now what is HANA? So HANA is the new database which is provided by SAP itself. HANA is not a third-party database. HANA is a database which is developed by SAP itself by using the latest technologies available in the market. For example, you can see the second point, multi-core processors. I think this is very common nowadays. If you want to buy the laptop, initially you were going for maybe the P3, P4. Earlier, this were the laptops versions which are available. Now it is Intel core processors with multi-core processing capabilities. So Core 2 Duo, if you go 10 years back, Core 2 Duo was a very good thing to have. But nowadays, i7, i5, i6, these are the, or maybe i5 and 7, these are the technologies that we are using. So multi-core processor means if a database is also using the hardware, which is powerful, then definitely the processing speed of that database will be improved. Okay, so SAP HANA is developed with the improved hardware. So number one is multi-core processors. Number two is in memory. Most important thing you will hear again and again whenever you go to SAP HANA or SAP S4HANA related discussions, it is in memory. In memory means what happens normally if you are using SAP ECC system today and your underlying database, let's say, is Oracle or it is DB2. So most of the old or traditional databases, they were storing the data in the hard disk. Okay, so whatever, let's say you are creating a customer and data is getting stored in table KNA1, KNB1. Now this KNA1, KNB1, where exactly these are stored? These are stored in the database, obviously, but within the database, there are two places, either RAM or hard disk. So previously, whatever transactions you do, whatever master data you create, they were getting stored in the hard disk. And I think we all know from our school, college days that there is a difference between the hard disk and the RAM. RAM is 1,000 times faster than storing the data in the hard disk, right? And that is the reason SAP HANA, instead of using hard disk to store the data, it uses RAM to store the data. And that is the reason the processing speed of doing the transactions in S4HANA compared to SAP ECC system is high because it is using the in-memory computing. In-memory computing itself means storing the data in the form of RAM, in the RAM. Instead of storing the data in the hard disk, data will be stored in RAM. That is nothing but in-memory. After in-memory, we have column-based data storage. So there are two ways in which the data can be stored in the database, either in the row-based form or in the column-based form. Now, this is something technical, but normally what we do, whenever I want to see a data in the table, I go to transaction SE11 or I go to transaction SE16. And as soon as I enter that I want to see the information in a particular table, what happens is the system shows us the tabular form. It shows us some rows and it shows us some columns, right? So rows are the independent transactions and columns are the fields which are captured for that transaction. So as a user or as a functional consultant, when I want to see the data in the tables, I can see in the tabular format in the form of rows and columns. But internally, within the database, it is not always stored in the tabular form. It is either stored in the row-based form or the column-based form. The combination of rows and columns was not possible previously. But with SAP HANA database, instead of storing the data in the row-based form, it supports storing the data in the column-based form also. Okay, what is the benefit of storing the data in the column-based form? How it will help us? Column-based data storage is, first of all, can be stored in the compressed form. So just assume you have got a new mobile and it is having 32 GB of space. Now, if you keep on storing the data, you keep on clicking the photos, you keep on inserting the videos in your mobile device, ultimately at one point of time, you will reach the limit and then your system will become, or your mobile will become hang, and it will give you problems, and it will tell you that there is not enough memory. So what you will do at that stage? Either you go for extended memory on maybe on cloud or something like that, which is additional cost to you. Or what you can do is, if you get a chance to compress the data, so whatever data you have stored on your mobile device, 32 GB of data, if you can compress it and make it maybe 6 GB or 7 GB, again you will be getting additional 24 GB for free within the same hardware. You are not changing your hardware. Within the same hardware, you will be getting this additional storage. Same way, when you are using the SAP HANA database, since HANA database supports column-based data storage, whatever data currently is used by the customer, it will automatically get suppressed or compressed, okay, to the minimum one, which will help you in storing more and more data. And obviously, if the amount of data in GBs or TBs is reduced, it automatically improves the performance of your system. Okay, so that is another benefit of column-based data storage. We already discussed the data is stored in RAM. There are many tables which were unnecessarily required in SAP ECC. For example, aggregate tables, index tables. If you want to know what are the examples of aggregate tables, all those tables which were holding the totals. Okay, so for example, from FI point of view, there was a table Fagel Flex T, or if you are using a classic GL accounting, the table is GLT0. So all these tables which were holding the totals in SAP ECC, those tables are now removed in S4HANA. In S4HANA, we don't have the totals tables. Similarly, there were index tables. So for example, if I ask you, where should I go in a table and find the information of open vendor invoices or open customer invoices? So although I can get this information very easily from BSEC table, because BSEC is storing each and every accounting transaction, I can go to BSEC and I can fetch that information, but it is a very base practice in SAP ECC that don't touch BSEC directly. If you want to generate any report, don't touch BSEC. Instead, SAP has provided the index tables to extract the data. For example, if you want open vendor invoices, go for BSIK. If you want open customer invoices, go for BSID. If you want cleared customer invoices, go for BSAD. So what exactly are this? BSIK, BSAK, BSID, BSAD. Why these tables are required in SAP ECC? They are required to reduce the load on BSEC table, so that user, instead of going to BSEC table directly, they can go to the subset of BSEC. So there are multiple subsets created for BSEC, so that instead of everyone is going to the BSEC table, they should be rotated to the different SAP tables for different functions. So even those index tables are now removed, which means now you can directly go to the main table and extract the information. There is no need to unnecessarily create the subsets of those tables. How it is possible? So earlier we were saying don't touch BSEC. Now we are saying no problem, go to the main table and update the information or extract the information. What is the reason? The reason is the power. The reason is because we are using in-memory computing. Earlier, if it was taking minutes to generate a report, now it will take milliseconds. Similarly, if you are using column-based data storage, the amount of data got reduced, and that is the reason even if you go to main tables and try to extract the information, it will be giving you same results within the fraction of seconds. So there is no need to unnecessarily store the data in the old tables. Okay. On top of that, coming to the third point, SAP S4HANA also uses new user interface. So all of us, we are working in SAP maybe from 10, 15, 20, 30 years. But till now, the way we were trying to use SAP system was using the old GUI, right? SAP logon pad. And if that SAP logon pad is not installed in my computer, I cannot connect to the SAP system. Very straightforward. right? So first thing, if I want to connect to SAP, I need to download the SAP GUI, I need to set up the connection, and then only I can use it. But what if I want to use directly from the Internet Explorer or Google Chrome, any browser? That was not supported, right? Not only that, the look and feel of traditional GUI, maybe some minor changes, but otherwise, if you go to 30 years back, it was almost same what we are doing today. So if I want to create a purchase order, go to ME21N. If I want to create a sales order, go to VA01. We are following the same transaction, same screen from more than 15-20 years, right? And again, that is not a problem. The big problem is if I go to ME21N or if I go to VA01 or if I go to FB60, if you see the number of fields, more than 200, 300 fields in a single transaction, which is a total confusion for the end user who is maybe started just now. If your user is already experienced and he knows which fields are important, which fields he can keep it blank, it is fine. But for the new users, it is very difficult for them to understand why SAP has provided 200 fields and which fields are relevant to me, right? So what we can say is the traditional GUI that we were using were little bit, we can say, not easy to use for the end user. But now with SAP Fiori, what is SAP Fiori now? SAP Fiori is a new way of doing the transactions directly from your web browser. Okay, you can use Internet Explorer, you can use Google Chrome, okay, and you just need a link to connect to that system. You don't need to install anything on your system. Only thing is your system administrator must have created the user ID and password, and he should have given you the authorization to use it from any laptop using the browser. If that is given, you can use it from any laptop without downloading or installing any installation file. That is number one. Number two, the screens that you will be able to see there, they are very much simplified. Okay, simplified in the sense, earlier if you were able to see 200 fields and you were getting confused which fields are relevant to me and which fields are not relevant to me, now there is an option that the only fields which are relevant to you, only those fields will appear. So you can control which fields you want to see, you can control which fields you want to hide. There are a lot of controls which are given to the end user directly. Instead of involving the consultant into those activities, end user can play with that and he can configure his screen accordingly. Okay, and on top of that, there are lot of analytical reports available on Fiori which were never possible in the traditional GUI. Now, what do you mean by analytical reports? Analytical reports means pie charts, bar charts. If you want to see those kind of analytics, it was never possible in traditional GUI using SAP Fiori. Plus, because SAP has came up with embedded analytics, or you can call it as a embedded BI BW system. So using those new functionalities in Fiori, it is not only possible to do your business transactions, but you can also see your reports in the form of analytics. Okay, so that is SAP Fiori, which can also be accessed from your mobile devices, from your tabs. So not only you can use the Google Chrome browser to access the SAP transactions from laptops, but you can also use the mobile applications and also you can use the tabs to access your SAP system using SAP Fiori user interface. Okay. On top of that, if you come to the fourth point now, which is SAP S/4HANA simplifies the functionalities. So whatever we discussed, 3 points, these were technical. So database, user interface. The question that your business will ask, okay, I understood that the speed is fast. I understood that the user interface is good. But as a CIO, sorry, as a CFO, if I'm a CFO of a company, or if I'm a senior accountant, or if I'm a general manager, then my question would be what additional benefits I will get as a functional consultant, as a functional user. Okay, so what is required by the CFO? One thing, if CFO is given a choice, you tell us what you want. What he will ask? He will ask you faster closing. Because for CFO, the biggest KPI is how much time it takes to close the books of accounts every month. So if they are given the date of five days, like every fifth of the month, they need to submit their previous month data, which is sometimes very difficult because of many reconciliation issues, because half of the information is available in one system, half of the information is available in another system. My BI system is different, my BW system is different, right? There are a lot of things. I need to create my reports in Excel, I need to create my graphs manually. So there are a lot of problems due to which CFOs are not able to close their books on time. Okay, so what exactly SAP S/4HANA can provide to the functional departments so that they can close their books on time? So these are some of the things. A universal journal, which means single place where all the data relevant to FI, relevant to CO. So previously there were separate tables for FI, separate table for CO, separate table for asset accounting, again a separate set of tables for material ledger, and a separate set of table for COPA. These 5 objects. I'm repeating: FI, CO, material ledger, asset accounting, and COPA. So these 5 components, they were using their own set of tables, okay, and they were independent of each other. And that is the reason, if I am accountant, I need to go to FI first, then I'll go to CO, then again I will verify whether my FI and CO are matching. So there are a lot of efforts required in order to consolidate the data and in order to come up with the reconciled reports. But now good thing is, SAP in S/4HANA, they came up with one single table called as AC Doc A. AC stands for accounting, DOC is document, and A stands for actual. So whatever actual lines you post, they will go to table AC Doc A, which is also called as a universal journal and also called a single source of truth. Why? Because most of your data coming from the 5 components that I told you, they are going to store at one single place, and that one single place is called a single source of truth, as you are storing all your data at one common place. FI/CO has been merged. Just now I told you there is no need to segregate FI and CO. There is no need of doing the reconciliation activity because the universal journal is going to store all the data at one place. That is the reason FI and CO has been merged, and there is no need to unnecessarily perform the reconciliations during the month end, whether my FI and CO results are matching or not. They will always match as far as universal journal is concerned. Okay, and obviously it will also help you to solve the reconciliation issues, and ultimately you will be able to close your books faster. Okay, now on top of that, S/4HANA comes in 2 versions, or you can say 2 deployment options. One is on-premise, second is on cloud. Now, what is the difference between on-premise and on cloud? Let's say you are a customer, you understood the power of SAP S/4HANA, and your company has now decided that yes, we want to go for S/4HANA. So the first thing that you need in order to implement S/4HANA is you need a hardware, right? You need a hardware and the software. Hardware is servers, networking devices, okay, and software is you need to buy the licenses from SAP to start using the SAP S/4HANA system. So the question is, what about the hardware? Hardware, are you going to purchase on your own, or you want SAP to provide hardware as well as software on the rental basis or on the subscription basis? So if you are buying your own hardware and asking SAP just to provide the licenses, in that case, because it is your own hardware, it will be treated as on-premise system. On-premise means you are not buying hardware from SAP. You are just buying the software. So that is on-premise. If you go to SAP and tell them that I don't have hardware and I don't have capacity to buy the hardware, I want hardware as well as software as a subscription basis from you, in that case, that would be treated as a cloud option. So if you have multiple systems, let's say your company is very big, some of the entities are in US, some of the entities are in Europe, and you have two different systems. European system is using on-premise, your US systems are using on cloud. So in that case, this combination of on-premise plus cloud is called as a hybrid option. Okay, so normally one system can only have one option, either on-premise or on cloud. But if you combine multiple systems, and if I ask you what is your deployment option, whether you are using on-premise or you are using on cloud, so your option would be it is a combination of on-premise and cloud, and that is the reason it is called as a hybrid deployment option. Okay, the last one before I give the chance to you to ask your questions. If you want to implement SAP S/4HANA, there are three ways in which it can be done. Number one, you can go for the Greenfield implementation project. Greenfield implementation project means, let's assume a customer is not using SAP at all. Customer is using some third-party system or maybe some previous ERPs which are available, or maybe he has just started the business. Till now he was only using Tally. Now he wants to use SAP S/4HANA. So in that case, he will go for the fresh implementation project. So that fresh implementation project is nothing but Greenfield implementation project. Number two is system conversion. Let's assume if I am a customer and I'm already using SAP ECC from last 10 years. Now I got to know that SAP S/4HANA is having a lot of simplified processes, and I want to upgrade my current system to S/4HANA. So here I'm upgrading. There is a difference between upgrading and starting from scratch. If I'm upgrading, then it would be considered as a system conversion. Okay, because I'm not starting everything from scratch. I'm using whatever I have currently, plus I am deploying the additional patches so that I can use the new functionalities in the same system. On the other hand, if I say no, I'm not happy with my current system, I want to redesign everything. I want to go for a complete designing from scratch. I will configure each and everything again from scratch. In that case, that would be again considered as a greenfield implementation project. So system conversion is when you are upgrading your current ECC system to SAP S/4HANA. It may be ECC, it may be any previous versions. So if you are converting your SAP system to S/4HANA system, it is called as system conversion without starting from scratch. The third option, which we'll be using throughout this course, because when we are talking about central finance is not a greenfield implementation. Central finance is not a system conversion project. Central finance is a landscape transformation project. So one of the use case of landscape transformation is central finance. Now, what do you mean by landscape transformation? Landscape transformation means this is mainly for those customers who are using multiple systems as of today. Let's take a simple example. I have a company in US, in Europe. So this is a group. The group has a company in US, in Europe, and in India. Now all these three companies are using their independent software. US is already using SAP. Europe is also using SAP, but India is still using maybe some third party, let's say Oracle apps. India is using Oracle apps. Now I want to have one single consolidation system. Okay, so we will continue to use, for Europe, they will continue to use their own SAP, old SAP. US also will continue to use their old SAP, and India also will continue to use their Oracle apps. But as soon as the transactions are done in these three systems, I want the data to flow in the fourth system that I'll create. That fourth system is nothing but the central finance system. So what I'll tell the system is, whenever any document is posted in US system, it will automatically get fetched to the central finance system. Whenever any document is posted in Europe, it will also come to the central finance. Whenever any document is posted in Oracle Apps of India, I want that document also to be flown in Central Finance so that my Central Finance system will become my consolidation system where I'm getting the data from all these source systems. What is the benefit? The benefit is I'll be having the consolidated report, which I can create in my Central Finance system that would be always reconciled. There is no problem with FI and CO reconciliation. There is, you can do the embedded analytics in the Central Finance system. You can do the group reporting. So there are a lot of benefits of SAP S/4HANA when it is compared to the previous SAP versions. So if I want to create that environment where I can perform my consolidated reports, where I can use the additional features of SAP S/4HANA, in that case, this landscape transformation would be very helpful. Okay, any questions in any point, whatever is written in this slide, anything if you are not able to understand, please go ahead. We will close this first and then we'll go to the next slide.
Vikram,
yeah.
When you flow each country's hosted document to the CFIN, so in one area you will have all the document processed or transactional data in one. So now so that you only have a posted document, but in the front end, do you still will have enabled AC Doc A and AC Doc P or no?
No. Source system will not consider. Source system is my Oracle. Just take an example.
Not source system. The CFIN system and the French system, the backend system, they will be parallel. They will be running day-to-day operational. They are all operational system. When the consolidated flow, transaction flow occurs in CFIN, in the CFIN system, since if I'm able to use the functionalities of S/4HANA, is the AC Doc A and P is available in CFIN?
Yes, 100%. That is the whole reason why we are going for Central Finance. So what will happen is, in your source system, instead of deviating the terminologies, let's use this terminology for the common understanding. There is a source and there is a target. Instead of saying front end, back end, let's use this terminology throughout the course. There is a source system which is sending the data, and there is a target system which is a Central Finance system which is receiving the data. So in your source system, it totally depends upon which system it is. It can be any number of tables, it can be any number of applications that you are using. But ultimately, all these postings are coming to the target system, which is a Central Finance system, which must be the SAP S/4HANA system. Okay, you cannot say my Central Finance system is ECC. So this entire wordings will go wrong. Yeah. So concept is the Central Finance system, the consolidation system that you have on the target side, it must be SAP S/4HANA system. And if it is S/4HANA, obviously all my postings, which I'm taking from my source systems, will go and reside in my AC Doc A table.
So if that's the case, then you should follow the ledger concept of the current S/4HANA, and that needs to be set up, right?
No, see, ledger is up to you. At least one ledger is required, right?
Yeah.
Definitely, at least one ledger is required. And anyways, we don't have the concept of classic GL accounting in S/4HANA. In S/4HANA, we have new GL accounting. So even in your previous system, if you are using classic GL accounting, see why you are using Central Finance. That is the whole purpose. Because in my old system, I am using old functionalities and I'm not able to get this kind of reports. And that is the reason I am moving my data to S/4HANA so that I can do my transactions in the old system, but I can get my beta reports in S/4HANA. So in S/4HANA, definitely you have to follow the ledger concept where at least one ledger is mandatory. But if you want to introduce additional ledgers for IFRS or maybe some other legal requirements, that can be also extended in the target system.
So dependent configuration should occur in CFIN then?
Exactly.
Okay,
yes.
got it. I got the answer.
Before you Yeah, before understand one thing, whenever you are working on the central finance system, you are actually doing two projects because you
Yep.
need to set up the central finance system like a greenfield way,
Okay.
right? You have to
Yeah.
configure everything on your central finance system first. Once it is configured, then only you can do the mapping. Like if I'm getting the data from this source system, in which company code it should be posted in the target system, right? So those company
Yeah.
codes, those ledgers, those currencies, everything needs to be configured like a greenfield project in your target system.
Yeah.
So as a functional consultant, our first responsibility would be set up kind
Yeah.
of a implementation system for the central finance. Once that is done, then the second responsibility will start to fetch the data from source, upload in the target, and while uploading, create those mappings.
Mhm. So the recommendation will be, what is the best recommendation? Do go CFIN or just go to S4HANA? You are saying it all depends because CFIN is going to be lean of S4.
No, see, it is totally dependent upon, maybe in the next slide, I have some use cases where you will get the idea in which cases you can go for central finance.
Mm-hmm.
I'll answer it shortly. We have the use cases like for which customer it is recommended to go for central finance.
Okay.
Any particular question, because we are not introduced central finance till now. Anything related to S4HANA concepts? Have you understood what is HANA, what is Fiori, what is single source of truth, hybrid?
Vikram,
Not totally.
Yes, Nikhil.
I have a question. So you're saying in your subsequent slides you have a use case. Like what would be the business benefit to basically go in for a central finance? Because at the end of the day, as you mentioned, we need two. You need the mappings for in the central finance, and then you need configuration in the target system,
Right.
depending on what you want to do. So if the so there, I've seen that a lot of companies use either the target system only for reporting, and that's a start, and then down the line they also use that like a full-fledged transition from CFIN to EM, enterprise management.
Right.
So do we have any kind of recommendation here in terms of uh, what would be a good business proposition, whether to go in for reporting initially, or whether you go in for straight, like the lady who asked the question, like straight S4 HANA? And what would be, is there a big cost implication? I think the central finance piece seems to be, because right now in this times in the US, everybody is looking for a quick ROI, and central finance seems to be picking up. So my understanding is that that is a cheaper uh, uh, way to transition.
Quicker
No,
and
I don't
lean,
think
you
it is.
get the favor until
Yeah,
you rip off the bandage man and move it to S4HANA. CFIN will be the one of the desired for big of the beast of the companies.
so no problem. We will talk about this. I have the slide. We will discuss about this. Anything, Nikhil, on this particular slide? What we discussed?
No, I'm good with this. I'm good with
Okay. Let's take it one by one. We will come to that point. What you asked, it is about to come.
Sure.
Okay. So why, if just you want to answer this question, why a customer should go for SAP S/4HANA? Number one, it uses HANA database. HANA database uses in-memory computing. It uses column-based data storage. It allows you to improve your performance, the reporting as well as transaction level performance. It also provides you new user interface in the form of Fiori. And just now we discussed that in addition to the technical two things, Fiori and HANA, SAP S/4HANA also provides embedded and simplified processes. For example, we just now discussed a reconciled FI and CO, even asset accounting has been simplified. We have the option of embedded analytics. We can generate kind of graphical reports directly from the system. Embedded BPC. So previously, if you are using SAP ECC system, you had to transfer the data from ECC to BW and then from BW to BPC. So there were three different servers which were required in order to generate your planning as well as consolidation. But now, even in S4HANA, SAP came up with the embedded BPC concept, which also allows you group reporting, which means you can do the consolidation directly within the main system itself instead of taking the data to the external system and doing the consolidation there. New cache management. So there are a lot of features from the new cache management point of view, how to set up the bank accounts, the workflow process, and even there are a lot of new reports which will help the cache manager to know the current cache position of the company. And then there is the intercompany reconciliation, which is also the new functionality which is introduced, only possible in S4HANA. Okay, and then you have faster closing. Ultimately, why you are doing all these things? It is just because you want to make sure that your closing process is improved. We already discussed S4HANA can be implemented on cloud. So these are just the answers. If someone is asking you why I should go for S4HANA, so these are some of the things which can help him to take a decision whether he should go for it. Because based on these functionalities, I only highlighted few functionalities, but there are many functionalities also from the logistics point of view. I'm keeping the focus here on finance because we are talking about the central finance. But in addition to this, there are a lot of logistics simplifications also in areas of MM, SD, and PP, which will also help the customers to take a decision whether to go for S4HANA or stick to ECC. These are just a few things before we go further, because this needs to be very clear in your mind. Can we use SAP HANA on SAP ECC? If I'm using SAP ECC system, can I use SAP HANA database? SAP HANA database is independent. It is not necessary that SAP HANA can only be used for S4 HANA applications. SAP HANA can be used on ECC also. SAP Business Suite powered by HANA. The name is SAP Business Suite powered by HANA. So ECC EHP7 system, which is running HANA database, is nothing but the application which is running on HANA. So ECC, in short, can use SAP HANA database. There is no problem in that. What about, can we use SAP S4HANA with non-HANA database? I very clearly told you the name itself is saying that this application will run only on HANA database. So it is not possible to use any other database with S4HANA. Okay, the name itself reflects that this product can be used only with HANA database. Now, coming to the business cases, we will understand when the customer will go for new implementation, when the customer will go for system conversion, and in which cases customer may go for landscape transformation, and again within landscape transformation, there are different use cases out of which we are going to focus on central finance. So let's take it one by one. First, let's talk about the new implementation project. So as we discussed, if a new customer who was not using SAP at all, okay, he was using Oracle or maybe Tally or any third-party system, and now he is interested to move to S4HANA. So he has to start from scratch. Okay, there is no setup, there is no SAP system, so definitely whatever he wants to do, it has to be started from scratch. In that case, it would be considered as a new implementation, right? Second scenario for new implementation, existing customer who is already running SAP ECC system. Now he wants to go for S4HANA, but he is saying that my current ECC system is not up to date. Okay, there are a lot of things which I want to redesign, and that is the reason I'm deciding that I will not upgrade. I will instead go for a complete fresh implementation. So new implementation can be performed by the new customer or also the existing customer who wants to start everything from scratch. So a customer, let's say I am a customer and I want to go for new implementation. What are the different deployment options I have? You can see I can go for on-premise. This home is nothing but on-premise. Okay, a new customer can decide whether he wants to buy the hardware or not. If the hardware is managed by the customer, then it would be SAP S4HANA on-premise. But if the hardware as well as software is provided by SAP on the rental, on the subscription basis, then it would be SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So the new customer has a choice to either go for on-premise or to go for cloud. Number 2 is system conversion. This is only for those customers who are already using SAP system. It can be SAP ECC or it can be any previous version of SAP. So for those customers, instead of starting anything from scratch, instead of doing all the configurations from scratch, what they can do is, just like if you want to upgrade from EHP 5 to EHP 6, or if you want to upgrade from EHP 4 to EHP 7 directly. So just kind of a EHP upgrade, we can upgrade from EHP 7 to SAP S/4HANA directly. Although the project is not that much simple as it is in EHP 5 to EHP 6, but the approach is same. So what you are doing is you are just adding the new patches, new code to the already existing data that you have. So whatever customers, vendors, transactional data, invoices, payments, you don't need to replicate those again. Those are already available in the system. You are just upgrading your database. You are just upgrading your code so that the new features of S/4HANA are applicable in your system. But data movement and all is not required because you will be continue to use the same system that you have today. And that is the reason, if you can see, there is no cloud option here. Why there is no cloud option? Because we are saying the upgradation, the system which is already being used by the customer is being upgraded. There is no question of going to the new system. Same system is getting upgraded. It's nothing but system conversion. System conversion is only possible for the existing customers. Third scenario, which is, as we discussed, mainly related to the central finance, is if you have multiple systems. See, in this case, there was only one system. In case of new implementation, customer was using one system and they wanted to create the new S/4HANA system from scratch. In case of system conversion, again, there is only one system which is being upgraded to the SAP S/4HANA system. Now, in case of new implementation, it is possible that there are multiple systems here and you are upgrading it to the one common SAP S/4HANA system. That is completely fine. But when the customer will go for landscape transformation, it is when, in this example, there are only 3 systems. But there are many customers who are having 10, 15, 20 different SAP, non-SAP systems. And for them, it is not practically possible to upgrade all 20 systems to S/4HANA. Okay, let's take a business case. A customer who is having, again, the entities in US, Europe, India, and they are using 3 different SAP systems. SAP or non-SAP. So as I told you, US and Europe, they are using SAP ECC, and India is using Oracle Labs. So there are total how many systems? Total 3 systems. Now there is a choice to the customer. If you want to go for S/4HANA, you can go for a completely new SAP S/4HANA and you need to migrate all the data from all 3 systems to S/4HANA, and later on you start doing the transaction directly in S/4HANA and discard your previous 3 systems. If that is possible, and possible in the sense not only practically possible but also within the timeline that customer is looking for. So if you tell the customer, okay, we will convert all your 3 systems to S/4HANA and it will take 5 years, definitely that is something which customer may not, or maybe if a customer is ready to wait, he may agree. So it is totally dependent on what is the timeline that the customer is looking for. So if you ask the customer, no problem, we can upgrade these 3 systems to S/4HANA using the new implementation approach, and you can directly start using S/4HANA once the implementation is done, but you have to wait for 5 years. Here, there are 2 decision factors. If a customer says, yes, I am ready to wait, okay, then you can go for new implementation. But if a customer says, okay, I am ready to wait, but can you provide me any other alternative so that at least my reporting should be carried out in the central system? Maybe You take 5 years to move all the data from here to here. You take 5 years to discard this multiple SAP, non-SAP systems so that I can do the transactions here. But at least in next 1 year, from the reporting point of view, transactions I'll continue to use on the third-party system or SAP or non-SAP systems. But from the reporting point, can you give me this system in 1 year? In that case, what you will do? In that case, this option will come into the picture, central finance. So you will ask your customer, no problem, you continue to do your transactions here. Okay, we will set up the system, independent system in 1 year, and we will do the replication. We will automatically transfer the data from here to here. As soon as the transaction is posted here, it will be replicated in your central finance system. Okay, and later on, one by one, we will discard this system. Then you can do the transactions directly here. Then we will discard this system. You can do the transactions here. And in next 5 years, you would be able to discard all your 3 systems, and you can use SAP S/4HANA system not only as a central finance, but as a transaction system also. Nikhil, have I answered your question? Nikhil and Aisha? So when
now let's say I did the SLT. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Now we did the SLT. All the systems are in CFIN. Okay. Now, when I want to do the full-fledged implementation on S4, now I will be doing another project on the side. Is it not correct?
Yes. So when you are working on the central finance system, as I told you, the first thing that you need to do is you need to set up this system. So if you are considering this as a separate project, it is up to you, but it is part of the central finance itself.
So when I set up the system, so tomorrow when I want to move to S4HANA, I will use the same system to bring it up to speed for S4, or do I have to do the sidecar, another project on S4? Because the reason I'm saying is, current system is a bandage man. We need to completely rip it off and do clean up. Most of the functionality probably may have there, and some things we need to do as part of the solution, those kind of things. So
no, see, in that case, as I told you, if you are thinking whether I should upgrade this system or go for the new implementation, that is nothing to do with central finance. I think you are asking about these 2 scenarios. So these 2 scenarios are, if you are happy with your current system, if you don't want to do much redesigning, just as you said, you have a lot of data which you want to delete from here, which is unnecessary. In that case, you can go for new implementation. If there is a lot of changes required, if you want to redesign your complete current system, then you can go for the new implementation. But if you are happy with your system, happy in the sense you want to upgrade this by just doing the small changes, then you can upgrade to S/4HANA. But when it comes to the central finance, in central finance, anyways, we are going to replace all the systems going forward, right? As of now, we will continue to do our transactions here till the time our new system is ready. Till that time, we will continue. We will not make any changes here. This will be unnecessarily the investment otherwise, right? Because anyways, in next few years, we are going to replace all these systems. So here we will continue to just do our transaction. From the reporting point of view, all the reports will be available in your central finance system. And then one by one, you can discard this and start doing the transaction directly here. Then in the second phase, you discard this, start doing the transaction here. Finally, you discard the third system. Now this is no more the central finance system. This is your transaction as well as reporting system. So this will become independent S/4HANA system.
So while you use a CFIN, you will be using the CFIN at the same time, sidecar transformation of each one, you will be moving into the S4.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Purpose is to move the data. See, whenever there is a CFIN in place, there are at least 2 systems. One is source system, second is target system, and there is a link between the source and the target, so that whenever there is any transaction done in source, it should automatically in real time flow the values to the target system. Target system is my central finance system.
Okay, so one implementation team will be slowly moving one module at a time, but the transaction data still will be flowing to the CFIN.
Exactly. Till the time you don't start doing the transactions here, till the time you don't start putting the invoices, payments, everything here, till that time you will move the data from here because you are doing the transactions here. Your end users are performing all your transactions here. But once all the setup is done, you can discard this and you can start doing the transaction directly in the S/4HANA system.
What is the complexity if we do that?
Sorry?
What is the complexity? Because one side you're running a CFIN and the other side you have a source system they are running. And now you are also doing the transformation of the current system, the source system. So what are the implications on that? Any impact?
No impact. See, we are looking for consolidated report. Okay, so consolidation system, we are using this as a consolidation system. Impact, I will not say it is the impact. This is something what we wanted, and that is the reason we are doing. Now, if you are asking the complexities are you have to do the setup. You have like in addition to these three systems which you are already operating, you have to bring in. You have to configure this system completely. You have to do the business mappings here. You need to make sure that your SLT is running fine. So these are the complexities which a central finance project can have. But ultimately, we are not here for complexities. We want to understand what exactly is the benefit that I'm going to get with the central finance, right?
Once you move into the central finance, your source system will be still running. The central finance has all the reporting ability and so on. Okay. Now, when I want to bring the source system one module at a time to the S/4HANA, so there will be one team that will be constantly doing that, correct?
Right, definitely.
Okay.
Again, that is optional. It is not mandatory, Asha. If a customer is using central finance and there is no plan to discard this, okay, maybe initially the plan is only to set up the central finance. Later on, they will decide whether this should be discarded or not. So it is not necessary that if I'm using a central finance, I will also discard all my previous systems. I can continue using them also.
So, because the functionality of the existing system is not scaled, they have issues. So at one point they want to move in there, but you still have to do the sidecar.
Okay, let me give you one example in which you will never be able to replace all your systems. Okay, in this case, there are three systems. Just assume there are companies who are having 20, 25, 30 systems also. And that is not the whole, that is not the only thing. Let's consider those companies which are on every month, every quarter, they are acquiring some companies. They are merging some companies. So let's assume I have my company and I acquired your company now. Now my company is already replicated to central finance. My company is already listed here because all my company codes are already listed here and they are moving the data to central finance. But now if I acquired your company and your company is using Oracle, again I need to bring that here and I need to replicate that data to the central finance system, right? So for those companies who are continuously into mergers and acquisitions, they will never be able to replace all their systems. They have to rely on the central finance for their central finance reporting. I'll give you just another example. This is a consolidation system. What we were doing till now, most of the companies, they were using BPC, they were using Hyperion to consolidate the reports, right? Now, if you are using Hyperion, you know there are multiple third-party applications which are sending the data to the Hyperion system. Similarly, if you are using BPC, SAP, non-SAP systems, they can send the data to the BW and then BPC so that they can run the consolidation reports. So in short, what I mean to say is, let's not get confused whether this will be replaced or discarded or not. This is a business decision. They will take this decision whether this should be discarded or not. And if it is getting discarded, that is treated as a separate project. Central finance team would be responsible to replicate the data. They have nothing to do with whether this system will be there in future or not, because there will be another parallel team who will be working on the implementation side, where they can migrate the data from here and they discard the system. So discarding the system is completely different thing, and central finance is a completely different thing. But if you put together, I'm just giving you the scenario. Some of the companies will say, yes, we want to discard this system slowly. So maybe next 5 years, I don't want to see any system here. Everything would be done here. But definitely, in that case, there will be a separate team who will be working on this discarding the systems. Central finance team is responsible to make sure that whatever source systems you have, whatever target system you have, those are mapped properly. That is the responsibility of a central finance team.
So the license will be either you buy a combined license, CFIN going forward S4, or you just buy a CFIN. It all depends on the business decision.
No. License will be definitely separate. You already have the licenses, whatever you are using here. In addition to this, you have to buy the license of S4HANA. You have to buy the license of Central Finance. You have to buy the license of SLT. So that totally depends upon country to country, whether they are giving it as a bundle or you need to buy it separately. But definitely there is a separate license required in this scenario. Additional to what licenses you already have.
Okay.
Any idea whether it is a cheap, whether this would be a cheaper option, or is it cheaper compared to a greenfield, or?
No, it cannot be, Nikhil. It cannot be cheaper to the greenfield. In greenfield, tell me what you will be paying as a license. In greenfield implementation, this is the greenfield implementation. Here also you need to set up the S4HANA system. Here also you need the S4HANA system. Now, only thing is your users will continue to do the transactions here. So you are paying the licensing fees, this also. Now, in central finance system, you may say, okay, my transaction users will not come, only my management will come here for the reports. But again, you need to check what is the total cost, because here you don't need to pay the license of the old system, only new system. Here you need to pay the license of old as well as new system. So that totally depends upon what is the total cost, what is the TCO. So that is something which is very subjective. It depends upon country to country. So there is no cheaper or expensive option that we should discuss. That is something completely dependent upon how many users are you buying for central finance, what is the licensing fees, how much discount you are getting. There are many factors to that. That is subjective, that is case to case.
Because
oh, sorry, go ahead, Nikhil.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So because we saw a huge surge of CFIN vis-a-vis greenfields. A lot of our clients who were basically ready to go in for greenfields have instead chosen to go for CFIN. So I was under the impression. I mean, so that's the reason why I was thinking in that direction, that maybe it's a quicker ROI, because you're not disrupting anything. You still have your, and this is particularly in case of clients who are having non-SAP but also SAP. So it's not being very disruptive, because you still have your ECC where you have your users comfortable. You have central finance landscape, which is just converting all your transactions and and sending to your S4 for reporting. And most of these people are going lean, in the sense that they are just doing, right now in the S4 box, we are just doing management reporting. So they are going to slowly bring in the other aspects, like no material movements, nothing at this time, only FI entries and just for reporting purpose. So that's why I was thinking in that direction. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it depends on what the TCO would be, how many users are eventually going to be, how many licenses would be needed based on number of users, etc. But I was just starting to think in that direction, because suddenly we had most of the new implementations that are happening, and which were all almost we had the nods for greenfield, they're all moving to S4. So they are all moving to CFIN. So maybe my company is structuring the deal in such a way that could also be a reason. But I'm not on the sales side, but I was just set me thinking.
Right. No problem, Nikhil. Let me tell you in which cases why. I'll tell you why most of the companies are going for central finance, and this is a trend normally in US and only few countries. If you ask me in India, or if you ask me in some of the European countries, CFIN is not that much being used. Most of the companies are either going for system conversion or new implementation. I'll tell you the reason. In US, mainly most of the companies are headquarters, right? And as I told you, the decision whether to go for new implementation and system conversion is only available for those customers who are having minimum number of source systems. If you look at the US entities, because they are the headquarters, there are multiple different entities. There are multiple different systems that companies are using. And it is not practically possible to convert each and everything to S4HANA one by one, right? And even if it is possible, I gave you the example also. So there is one company who are using 5 different systems. Okay, SAP, non-SAP, there is a combination of 5, 6 systems. But the problem is, if I convert them to S4HANA using the new implementation approach, because there are 5, 6 different software they are using, it will take maybe 5, 6, 7 years. So what will be the response from the customer? Customer will definitely say 5, 7 years to realize the benefit of S4HANA. That is too much. What I can do in between? So the quick fix is go for central finance. What is central finance now? So till the time we go through this new implementation project, at least without touching your source system, as you said, you are not, there is minimum disruption in your source system. Your source system will remain as it is. You do your transactions here, but from reporting point of view, you are getting the benefits of S4HANA. So this is a quick thing which can be delivered in a very short duration. And parallelly, as I told you, if you want to go for the new implementation, you can continue using that particular thing also.
Yep.
This is number one. Yeah. And number two is why you go for, sorry, I forgot what I was saying. Just give me a minute. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, sorry. I was coming to the point that you said they are just keeping it lean. Now, that is not something which is in their hand. As you said, they are not moving materials, they are not moving anything. When we say central finance, it itself means only financial transactions. In central finance, we are not supposed to move the materials, sales and distribution orders. So central finance itself means only financial data. Central finance only takes care of FI documents that you post, CO documents that you post, and CO objects. These are the only 3 interfaces which are delivered in central finance. So using central finance, you cannot move MM and SD data. That is the reason it is called as a central finance. So this system is the central finance system, only holding the financial.
That's correct. But I think they have some option called AVL or something, which they were talking about when I was in one of them.
That is a separate scenario. That is not central finance, because
Correct.
landscape transformation, I told you, landscape transformation is a big area in which the use case is central finance. Apart from central finance, there can be other use cases also if you want to move MM and SD data also.
Makes sense. Got you.
Yeah, but that will not be called as a central finance. That
Right.
will be called as selective data
Central
conversion.
logistics, maybe. I don't know.
So Vikram, we will be configuring the central finance landscape for this class. Is it correct?
Yes, we will be only concentrating on the central finance. You're right.
So we'll be configuring, setting up the system to make it ready. And we can load some Excel data from the local directory, right?
No. See, what we need to do here is, in our practical session, what we will do is, we will have one ERP system, SAP ECC system, and we will have S4HANA system. We will do the transactions here, and we want to replicate into S4HANA. So those mappings, replication setting, what are the mapping needs to be done? Those are the things that we need to discuss in detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can see some connected system and transfer data.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, that will be wonderful, Vikram. That's why we don't want to let you go. We want to keep you. Thank you.
Yeah. So landscape transformation, just remember, whenever we are talking about central finance, it is all about landscape transformation. Okay, so new implementation system conversion is normally only done when you have one, or system conversion definitely 1:1. If a customer is asking you question, I have 2 ERP systems, can I convert them to one? That is not possible itself. How can you convert 2 EHP3 systems to EHP7? It is kind of a 2 separate projects you have to execute, right? You cannot bring both the systems into one system. So system conversion is always 1:1. New implementation, yes. If you have multiple SAP, non-SAP systems and you want to upgrade to S/4HANA, you can do that, but the timing may be more. So that is customer decision whether they want to consider the new implementation or the landscape transformation. So landscape transformation is normally recommended for those customers who have multiple source systems and they don't have enough time to realize the benefit of S/4HANA. They want to at least perform some consolidation, at least some group level reporting, okay, till the time all their systems are not converted to S4. So that is all about landscape transformation. So SLT is nothing but SAP landscape transformation. So you can see these are the 3 scenarios. Again, these are not all the scenarios that SLT offers. There can be multiple scenarios in addition to this also. So number 1 is consolidation. So if you want to merge multiple source systems into one existing SAP S/4HANA system. Okay, so the consolidation is one of the option. Second is selective data transformation. As I told you, you decide what data you want to move. So this is your source system, this is your target system. You tell the system, I want to move MM data, I want to move SD data, whatever data you want to move. So that is called as selective data transformation. You have to select which data you want to move. Last one is implementation of central finance. So this is one of the use case of SLT. If you are using central finance, then it is only financial transactions into central finance. We cannot merge MM and SD data in the implementation of central finance. It doesn't provide any other interface at all. The interface is only between FI, CO and cost objects, nothing beyond FI, CO. Clear on this? Nikhil, you got the answer?
Yes, Vikram. Sorry, it's just taking time to mute, unmute. Yeah, Vikram, I think that makes sense.
No problem.
Yeah, it's central finance. So the question of material valuation does not, material movement does not come into play. That's a very key differentiator.
Right. But technically it is possible. It will not be called as technically using SLT tool. It is possible to replicate any data that you want to transfer from source to target.
Okay. And one more question. So in this case, configuration is required only in the target system, right? And when we say configuration, I mean, since it is only FI based, now let's take only that use case, central finance. We would need your entire enterprise structure and your cost object assignment. I mean, I'm sure you'll be talking about it, but I'm just throwing it.
Definitely, yes, you're right. All that configuration is required in the target environment.
Okay, and in the middleware, or that's the landscape, can I call it middleware? Is that the right way, right word?
We will come to this. This is called as SLT. This
and
is
the SLT also you need you need something, right?
Yes. We will talk about that.
Okay.
SLT is a very big discussion.
Great.
So there is a source, there is a target, and in between there is a SLT tool.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Again, just to make sure that you understood it very clearly. So if a customer is already using SAP ECC, okay, and just assume this customer has multiple systems. You can see 1, 2, 3. Then this customer has 3 choices. Okay, just assume there is a customer operating in US, Europe, India, using 3 different SAP, non-SAP systems. Now, option number 1 is, if a customer wants to upgrade each and every system independently to S/4HANA, forget about Simple Finance. Don't worry about this wording. This is S/4HANA Finance. Simple Finance was older name to this particular application. So these are the 3 systems. And if I want to convert them one by one into S/4HANA, okay, so that is the first option. So I will get in my target system, I'll be getting 3 S/4HANA systems. Again, independently, I cannot do the consolidation. Number 2, I have 3 systems. I have upgraded them to single S/4HANA system using the new implementation approach. So I have transferred all the data from here, from here, from here. So if I have 10 company codes in one system, so 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, I configured 30 company codes here, and then I migrated all the data to this system. Ultimately, I got one single S/4HANA system, and in both the cases, this old systems will be discarded because you can do the transactions directly in the target environment. The third option is, which is central finance, is replicate into central finance system. So here there was only upgrade and migrate. So you upgrade your system and migrate the data. Here there was upgrade, migrate, and consolidate. So you have upgraded all the systems to S/4HANA, you migrated all the data, and finally you got one consolidated system. The third one is central finance, in which you will continue to use all 3 systems. Okay, let's assume if we give this option to the customer, upgrade, migrate, and consolidate, again, let's take the same thing. I'll tell the customer that it will take 5 years. So customer said, okay, run this parallelly, but in the meantime, in 1 year, can you give me the central finance instance? So in that case, all the 3 systems will run as it is. Okay, without any disruption. You continue to do whatever transactions you were doing. As soon as any document is posted, it will get replicated in real time to the central finance instance. Okay, good thing here, please remember this. Central finance is not only taking the data from SAP systems. This can be SAP or non-SAP both. Okay, so when we talk about central finance, there are at least 3 different systems. One is source system, one is target system, and in the middle is the SLT replication server. Okay, I think it will come here. Yeah, CFIN architecture. So central finance landscape architecture contains mainly 3 systems. Number 1, the first system is SAP ERP as a source system, where the main business processes run and FICO documents are posted. Let me rectify this statement. The first system is SAP ERP or any other third-party system. It is not necessary that it will be always ERP. Okay, the first system is SAP ERP or any other third party as a source system, where the main business processes run in FI and CO documents are posted. The second system, which is in between, is SAP SLT. It is an integration platform which reads and replicates the FI and CO documents. So it reads the data from the source system and replicates the data in the target system. So that is the task of SLT2. Third system is a central finance as the target system on S/4HANA. This is important. As I told you, you don't think central finance on ECC. Central finance is only supported in S/4HANA, where FI and CO documents are reposted. So the documents are read from here and they are reposted here. Why reposted? Because they were already posted in the source system. That is the reason the wording is used as reposted. Central finance is also able to replicate cost objects as prerequisites for FI and CO postings. What are cost objects? Let's take an example. Okay, let's first understand this and then I'll take the example. So you can see this is how the central finance system looks like. These are my source. So you can see non-SAP, SAP. There are 2 different source systems. In SAP system, you have a CO and FI document. In non-SAP system, you also have non-SAP, but it is also the FI document. This is your target system. In your target system, again, within central finance, there are a lot of components. You can see central finance accounting interface. There is a business mapping. There is an error correction and suspense accounting. There is internal accounting interface. And finally, there is a universal journal that is nothing but AC docket. In the SAP HANA database, we have AC docket table which will hold the information. So whenever any document will get posted here or here, using this SLT replication server, data would be pushed to the central finance system. Now, once the data is coming to the central finance, the first thing it will check is central finance accounting interface. There are 3 interfaces which are provided by central finance. Number 1 is to replicate FI document, primary posting, what you do in FI. Second is secondary posting, what you do in CO. So FI document, CO document, these are the 2 interfaces. The third interface is cost object, which means if I create a new cost center here, or if I create a new internal order here, if I want the system to automatically replicate this cost center to this system, then the third interface will come into the picture. So there are 3 interfaces in central finance. One interface is responsible to replicate the financial document. Second interface is responsible to replicate the secondary CO posting. And third interface is responsible to replicate the cost object. And that is the reason this point was written, that central finance is also able to replicate the cost object as a prerequisite for FI and CO. What will happen if the cost object is not replicated? You created a new cost center here. You posted a document. Now, when this document is replicated here, how the system will know which cost center I should book this to? So you can create a replication for the cost objects also. So as soon as the cost center is created here, first it will be replicated here. And then when the accounting document or CO document will come, system will post in that cost center. Okay, so there are 3 interfaces, FI, CO, and cost object. This one we discussed. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Any questions till now?
So one question. So you said 3 interfaces. I was just thinking. I mean, it's in the so one for FI posting, one for CO posting, third for cost. So FI posting, I mean, are there any postings which are ever done without a cost object? I mean, they 1 and 3, that interface should be kind of connected, right?
No, sorry. Can you come again?
So you there are 3 interfaces, one for CO posting, one for FI posting, and the third one for cost objects.
Right.
Now, FI postings, I mean, I rarely in my experience have come across anything where you have a FI posting without a cost object.
No, possible if it is a balance sheet.
Oh yeah, only unless it's a balance sheet, correct. Okay. Yeah.
No, but even that doesn't change anything, because even if FI document is having the cost object or not, before the FI document is posted, as I told you, the cost object needs to be replicated. Okay. So in order to differentiate FI and CO, FI is a primary posting. So it may happen that when you are posting the FI document, it is also creating a CO document, but that CO document is a primary posting, right? So when I say FI document, it includes CO primary postings. When I say CO document, this is only secondary CO posting.
Got you. So this is only say an controlling assessment or something like that.
Exactly. Yes. Settlement, okay. Assessment, allocations, distributions. So those things will come through the CO document.
Okay, I got you. Makes sense.
Okay, coming to the prerequisites, maybe we can continue for some time if you are fine. Maybe another 1 or 2 slides, so that tomorrow we can start a completely new thing, practically something. So source system prerequisites. So we discussed what are the source systems. These are our source systems. Okay, in this case, these are our source system. So as I told you, it can be SAP or it can be non-SAP system. But let's understand what are the different options available. So first of all, if you are already using SAP S/4HANA and SAP ECC 6.0 as a source system, option number 1 is your source system is already SAP. In this case, see, it is not ECC, it is even not in S/4HANA. So these are the old versions, SAP R3 and non-SAP. So these are something which are the oldest versions of SAP. So there are 2-3 options here. Number 1, if your source system is already SAP S/4HANA and SAP ECC 6.0, now if the question is coming to your mind, can I have SAP S/4HANA as a source system? Is it possible? What do you think? Can I have a source system as S/4HANA or not possible?
Yes.
Possible, right? It may be that my European company is already using S/4HANA and they also want to replicate the data in the consolidated system, right? So it is possible. Your source system can be S/4HANA, SAP ECC, SAP R/3, non-SAP, anything can be the source system. Even Excel can be the source system, just for example, right? So if your source system is SAP S/4HANA or it is ECC 6.0, in that case, this is supported out of the box. What do you mean by out of the box? So this means this is a based situation where you don't need to do much. Most of the things are already taken care by SAP. What you need to do is just apply some SAP nodes, or maybe you need to upgrade to the latest service pack. This is the only thing that you need in order to make the system ready to be used as a source system. So if I want to use the source system as S/4HANA or ECC, I just need to install some of the SAP nodes. That's it from the technical point of view. Second is, if my source system is out of maintenance SAP releases. What do you mean by out of releases? So 4.6, 4.7, 5.0. These are the old versions of SAP which are out of maintenance. So can this be my source system for central finance? Again, yes, possible, but there is an additional effort required. Who will do this additional effort? Definitely basis. We just need to understand from the functionality point of view. So whenever we are recommending to the customer, see again, this training, please don't try to understand only as a functional consultant what would be my responsibility. Just don't think in this way that I got the project, what is my responsibility now? Before you get a project, you may need to be a solution architect where you need to tell the customer what exactly is central finance, which systems can be your source systems, which systems can be your target systems. I'm not saying you to do the technical stuff, but you should be aware about those technical things so that you are not only working on the central finance project, but you are also kind of solutional expert on the central finance also. So in this training, I will try to make sure that I'm not only talking about the configuration stuff, but also that stuff which will help you in understanding the solutioning as a whole when it comes to the central finance.
Thank you, Guru. That's why we look up to you. Thank you.
Yeah, because otherwise there will be a lot of confusions and you will not be able to understand why this is not working. I have done everything in the system, but still it is not working. So these are the things which you must know. Then
Right.
only will be able to correlate in the project. Because the problem is there is not much expertise in the central finance. When you work on the project, even your basis consultants, you need to tell them what needs to be done. They are not aware what are the different SAP nodes, what are the different things are supported, which systems are supported. So you have to be very careful here and you may need to tell them what exactly needs to be done. Although you will not be doing on your own technical stuff, but you must know what are the things to be done. Okay,
Right.
so if it is out of maintenance release, which means if it is below 6.0, anything below 6.0, there is an additional effort required in the form of project work. We will discuss this, what additional effort is required, what are the different SAP nodes needs to be implemented. We will talk about all this. As of now, just an overview. So in the form of project work, this approach is called as downporting. This is the name that they have given. Downporting means making your older releases ready for using it as a source application. So just remember, if you are planning to write the certification exam, these are the type of questions which are asked. What is downporting? So you have to give this answer. Okay, and if it is other SAP ERP, other SAP means business one, by design, these are the SAP solutions for the small scale industries, right? So technically, integration of is currently only possible through the interface staging tables in SAP SLT. So just remember, if it is 6.0, only SAP nodes need to be implemented. If it is old SAP release, then there may be some additional effort required in addition to applying the notes. If it is other SAP ERP, then just remember interface staging tables are required. Okay, what is interface staging table? So interface staging table means you will pick the data from by design and business one, and in the central finance system itself, there will be one repository where first you will be storing the data in that particular template, and then only from that template data will be replicated to the AC docket table. So if you are getting the data from other SAP ERP, or if you are getting the data from non-SAP ERP, you can see it can be done only via the staging tables. So staging tables are very important when it comes to the connectivity with non-SAP systems or the other SAP systems. Okay, these are, see, 4.7, 5.0, this is SAP Business Suite, but this one, by design and business one, these are very small softwares. Okay, and they don't have the same tables that you have here, and that is the reason you need to have the interface staging tables in order to share the data. Okay, now little bit of details of each application. So what exactly is the replication server? I think you already got the answer. Replication server, what is the purpose of replication server? To get the data from here and post the data from to here. That is the only purpose of this SLT server. Let's try to read this. So SAP LT uses a trigger based approach. What do you mean by trigger based? What is a trigger here? When system will trigger the reading and writing of data? Whenever any document is posted here. So that is a trigger. If I ask you the question, when SLT will read the data from here and post it here, what is the triggering point? The triggering point is whenever any document is posted here. So in 1 second, if 100 documents are posted, there will be 100 triggering events within 1 second to fetch the data from here.
Concurrent and seamless, correct?
Exactly, concurrent and seamless, yes, in real time. Okay, so it is a trigger approach. It provides transformation and filtering capabilities. Filtering capabilities, just now we understood, not only finance. If I want to transfer the data from MM, from SD using filters, I want to transfer the data which is, for example, for a particular purchase organization or for a particular company code. So I have the filtering capabilities. I can tell the system which data to copy from the source system. It allows real-time replication, also scheduled, but normally when it comes to central finance, we go for real-time. Although SLT supports real-time and scheduled, but we in central finance use the real-time replication. It replicates relevant data only into HANA. This is important. Your target system must be S4HANA. So from SAP and non-SAP source systems. Your source system can be SAP or non-SAP. This is technical. It is fully integrated with HANA Studio. HANA Studio is a technical tool. And replication from multiple source systems to one SAP HANA system is allowed. Also from one source system to multiple HANA systems. I think till now we discussed, I have multiple source systems and one HANA system. But it is also possible that one data, I have two central finance systems, for example. Or maybe I have one central finance system and second for MM. So this system, whenever any finance document will be posted, it will be replicated to central finance. Whenever any MM or SD document will be posted, it will be replicated to another SLT target system. So it not only supports multiple source to one target, but it also supports one source to multiple target systems. Okay, maybe we should not go ahead. If you have any questions, we can continue, because otherwise on the first day itself, it would be many things.
Too much.
That we, yeah,
yes. Vikram?
Yeah.
When like you said, we do have to prep and set up the CFIN system for 3 components. cost object, CO doc, FI doc to post and map. Now, mapping in the sense now completely non-ERP, non-Oracle, non-SAP systems, old systems, we need to bring into CFIN first because the time is less and they need to see something. So for that, if we use a CFIN, then the mapping criteria will be more critical because business process breakdown and map it exactly how it should be, right?
Exactly. That is the whole, that is the biggest challenge in central finance project. Mapping is a critical information. Whatever you map, you will be able to see in the report. If you do it wrongly, then the wrong reports will appear in central finance. It is very straightforward.
Also a lot of custom object needs to be